Welcome to Keep It Humane, the podcast.
Where we talk about animal control, shelters, and animal welfare, and the people doing the work.
With your hosts,
Ashlee Bishop.
And sometimes Ashlee Bishop.
And Daniel Ettinger, helping people help animals. All right, welcome back. Another episode of Keep It Humane, the podcast. Not any of the other names that I was trying to say before we started. Ashlee, Wisconsin Bishop, is dealing with 8 feet of snow right now, so she's been frozen in and out of some of our pre-planning meetings, so she may or may not be joining us.
On point with sometimes.
Sometimes here and for this episode for sure. Keepithumane.com. Check us out. Keep It Humane on all the socials. That would be like Instagram and Facebook mainly, but there are some TikTok reels if you're into that. What's up, Bishops?
Weather for both of us, honestly.
Wait,
not as bad as Wisconsin.
What's going on in Texas?
It's cold.
All
It's
right.
supposed to be like 30 degrees tomorrow. What is happening?
That is super cold, actually.
And then 80 on Friday or something. Like, no. Stop.
I can't wait. I'll be down in the Dallas metro area in a couple weeks.
Oh, they also have whiplash, but they have whiplash worse than we do.
Texas is a good place, though. I dig it. Wisconsin, like I would go, but it would be like
Don't stay.
April through like April through May. Like, how long is it warm for?
April through May, you still have a chance of getting another snowmageddon.
May through July.
July, you're looking at 100-degree weather.
Why do you live there? What's the deal, dude?
I don't know. But literally overnight, we have gotten probably 20 inches of snow overnight.
20 inches of snow.
I had absolutely no snow in my yard on Thursday night when I went to bed, and now there's about 2 feet of snow in my yard.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
That's
My poor corgi.
You got to go out there with the snowblower and like shovel a path for the corgs.
Yeah, we're going to have to.
Yeah.
Because it's not done snowing either.
Ugh. And they already canceled school and everything yesterday on a Saturday.
Yeah, they canceled Monday on Saturday.
Wow. Incredible. And just think of all like how many pets are outside during this craziness.
Doggy doors are snowed over.
Yeah.
There's no chance of those being open right now with as much snow as we've gotten in the last little bit.
Nuts. What's up, Texas Bishop?
It's been a week, y'all.
Been a week. I'll drink some tea. I'll drink some tea to that.
Yeah, it's been a week. Work's been hectic. Shouts out to the team who are just rock stars all the time and dealing with everything that we've had to deal with this last, honestly, 2 weeks. It's been crazy. But we're surviving. We're only surviving because we have each other. That's for damn sure. But we're good, good. We're good. Just tired, man. That's all. How are you, Dan?
I'm good. You know what? I'm grateful. Every day I'm grateful. I'm going on a cruise as this episode is airing while you're listening to it, in whether you're in New York or Denver or I don't even know, somewhere. I'll be sitting there on a boat about this time.
Just on a boat, motherfucker, on a boat.
You said it, not me.
Song.
And then shout out to Arizona Animal Control Officers Association. I'll be there the following week in Laughlin, Nevada. So if you're there, I'm actually giving away a free tattoo in class. This is my new thing. People ask about the tattoo a lot, but they can't, like, sometimes people are like, I really want it, but I can't afford it right now. So I got something planned for a free tattoo.
Nice.
Yeah. I'd give both of you one of them, but Wisconsin Bishop doesn't want it, and I know Texas.
I want a dog. You need to draw me a dog. I told you I would get a dog.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It was an accident. Like, I can't intentionally make this now, can I? And do the whole other side?
Yeah, you can. Now we can do dogs.
What do you think, Wisconsin?
Depends on who's drawing it.
Well, it has to be me, right?
That's
or do we flip the script and have somebody like really well, like a good drawer draw it, and so like
Drawler? We need
Ken
somebody
hasn't
from
have
the
enough
south.
caffeine.
You know what I mean.
No, because then it would take away the funniness and premise
I
of the
know.
whole thing.
And
Like I said,
it was
I'll
so
happily do it.
impromptu.
I just don't want a cat. I want a dog.
Hater. I don't even know if there's enough room on my leg for all your chihuahuas, so we might.
They're little. It's okay.
Man, it's just
Oh,
good.
oh, I got a better one.
Yes.
Instead of specifying a breed or a species, do a paw print or to represent all animals
Hmm,
or prints or like everybody gets to draw a different feet.
Oh, okay.
that's a good one. I agree.
Well, it's my body, so
So it's your choice.
we'll see what happens. I still have a few more to fill up this side. I still have like I think I could fit at least five, maybe 10, depending on how big and where we squeeze them into. So coming to a conference near you, yeah, just looking forward to the future. I'm just grateful that I'm in a position where I can continue to reach people. I love this job, love this profession, and so just hoping that I can continue to help move it forward, just like you two are. So appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all.
We appreciate you too, Dan.
We do. Again, you don't give yourself enough credit, homie, and you
Mm-hmm.
need to stop it.
So moving forward, let's talk about the five freedoms. Look, we've talked about it on this program before. You've heard me and all of us talk about the five freedoms. I'm pretty sure we've done an episode
Hmm.
specifically on those five freedoms. And just to recap, that freedom from hunger and thirst, freedom from fear and discomfort, freedom from pain, injury, or disease, freedom to express normal behavior, and then freedom from fear and distress. And I believe it was like in the 1960s when that came about through for livestock mainly, like food producing animal purposes in the UK. It came about to really focus on that. Well, one of our listeners shouted me out and just said, "Hey, y'all should talk about the five domains." And I'm like, "The five what?" Like they said it to me like I knew what they were, and I'm like, "What five domains? Like www dot like that's a domain in my brain." Have y'all ever heard of these five domains?
No.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
No.
Nope. But I
Bef-
like them better
I mean,
Mm.
now that
they
I know what they are.
they really seem to target some of the things that we do. And so looking into it, they were developed in the 90s in New Zealand by an animal welfare scientist named David Meller um, at Massey University. I guess that's somewhere down under. Is New Zealand considered down under?
No, I'm pretty sure that's only
But
Australia.
it's like right there,
Mm,
isn't it?
even
New
still, I think that's
Zealand?
only Australia.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm almost positive.
All
Yeah,
right,
he's
whatever.
right.
Well, then it's
Sorry
down.
for anybody we might have offended.
How about it's still down there,
That I could accept.
but not down under there? It's just down there.
Underwear? Oh,
My kids used to do that all the time.
yeah. Hey, you know what? You have to have the mentality of a kid sometimes.
Sometimes I think I have that mentality all the times. So anyway, the five domains. I'm just wondering, like, uh, in the aspects of how it applies differently, excuse me, than the five freedoms. So why don't one of the bishops take it away? Talk about it. What are you seeing?
Well, so for one of the things, the first one, nutrition, um, you know, freedom from hunger and thirst, but the nutrition is specifically providing proper food and water to support health. You
So
know,
when you say that, so freedom from hunger and thirst is the original five freedoms, right?
correct,
And then the domain is nutrition.
correct.
Okay. All right.
Um, so drinking out of a toilet would
Mm,
be freedom of from thirst, but under the domain having proper water to support health.
mm.
water that isn't contaminated with other things, or food that is of substantial quality for, again, proper health.
Mhm.
Which I like the concept behind it, but as I say that, I also go, there's plenty of food brands and stuff out there that are maybe not of a greater quality.
Certainly.
Trash. I'll say it for you, trash.
Yeah.
Certainly.
But unfortunately, that is what some people can afford. And so, who does that go on? Does that go on the animal owner for not being able to afford the proper stuff, or um is that on the producers of the food to make sure that their food isn't trash?
Well,
Hmm.
there are standards for food, right? There's the AFCO. Do y'all know about the AFCO?
Yes.
So that's like the standard of food. But if I'm not mistaken, you have to pay to be an AFCO or to be reviewed by AFCO, and so some foods do not do that.
I don't know if you have to pay to be reviewed under them, but let's be honest, there's plenty of foods that are out there that aren't.
Hmm.
And those are some of the foods that people are feeding. Um, so I don't know, whose responsibility is that?
Hmm.
Yeah, no kidding. And then, again, how do we enforce that?
Yeah.
Nutrition?
Like, yeah, I
Ooh.
mean, no, not in that sense, but it's just like, how do we enforce, like, which one of our jurisdictions is going to put in ordinance that you have to feed
Hmm.
food that is specifically made for XYZ? Nobody's going to do that because technically other foods, quote unquote, will be nutritious, even though they're not, quote unquote, meant for an animal.
Yeah.
Well, and then you have the other, the flip side to it of, we prosecute people for having animals that are too thin, but we never prosecute for animals that are too overweight.
And we could do a whole
Yeah,
show. We could do a show on that. I think
good
I-
point.
I've talked I've talked about that a lot, and I think there's a lot of societal things wrapped into that. And
Because it's
I've
also cruel too. Yeah.
it is, and I've charged a few different overweight dogs, and
Really?
I have in my career. One, it was an interesting case where the dog. The reason I charged is because the history was there of the vet. Like this guy he loved his dog, and I get that, and I respect it. And he, what did they say? Like expressed his love through giving the dog treats. Have you heard of that before? Something like that.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
um, he, uh, the dog came to our department in a weird situation, but I started reviewing the case and found that over like 7 year period, every time he went for his annual visit, the veterinarian told him, dude, you got to do better. Like, stop feeding your dog chicken, rotisserie chicken every night. Like, you got to, if you want to give it treats, give it carrots. Like, it's outlined in the veterinary report, like, give
Ooh.
carrots, celery, etc. So, and the dog, like, it limped. If I might actually put some, I have video of it, but maybe I'll save it for the full episode if we ever do it. Um, it would limp when it walked. It could only walk a few hundred feet before it had to like lay down, heavy breathing, etc. So I charged for cruelty. Um, and I just remember the attorney, they felt bad for the guy. And also he did have a health condition. And so I think his time may have been limited and they didn't feel it was fair to charge, I charged him, but they didn't follow through with
Was
Conviction.
prosecuting
he
it. Yeah.
also overweight?
No, he was super skinny, but that may have been due to his health condition as
Mm.
well. Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, it was a sad story, but like the vet was telling him like, bro, you got to do something. So anyway, I got us off topic a little bit there, but nutrition is extremely important. And what we have seen dogs that are too thin because they're not getting the proper nutrition or dogs that are too thick I like that thick, um, because of yeah.
I think nutrition's a really hard one, like at least to go beyond, just providing, a balanced diet. Because again, we have a wonderful unhomed individual who sometimes, kiddo gets out or some, college student is like, bro, this dog is just, XYZ, he has somewhere to be or whatnot. And kiddo gets out, and we have a great relationship with him. Dog's very healthy. He's an older dog. And, the other day he just happened to be hanging out in an area where I was getting breakfast. So I bought the dude a nice hot sandwich and some Gatorade for the day. And what's the first thing he did?
Gave
Gave
it
it
to
to
the
his
dog.
dog. We both said
Like,
that exactly. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, how do we, like, what are we doing at that point? You know what I mean? It's sustenance. Is it the best substance? No, but I mean, he is feeding the dog before he's feeding himself. In most of those cases, when people are on home, that's what happens.
Absolutely.
It's tough. It's a tough one.
It is. And I think it's just being aware of what, like, that's important for our shelters to be providing the right nutrition for the pets
Mhm.
inside. And then it's important for our field teams to know, like, what is proper. Like, because if you're going out on a skinny dog, knowing what's in those ingredients, knowing are they spending maybe $15 less a month to get a crappy food where all it is just a little bit of education, like spend $50 instead of 35 and your dog will have better nutrition.
Right. Well, and then the second one is freedom of discomfort by providing an appropriate environment, including shelter and comfortable resting, versus the domain of environment, ensuring animals have a safe, clean, and enriching space.
Man, and that's huge. If you think about all the homes that we've been into that that don't provide that, like
Yeah.
how do you change your ordinances to match?
Like it is a fantastic idea in theory for this one, and I would love to see it, but it's so hard to enforce it.
Yeah, because we can't make people live a way that they don't want to live.
Right.
Like putting in layman's terms, we can't tell people to stop being poor and be rich. Like I would put it in that type of explanation because again, I mean, I'm sure all of us have been in plenty of hoarder houses where the animals are absolutely taken care of. It doesn't stink,
Mm.
but there's just junk everywhere. We know it's not conducive for a good environment, but at the same time, what are you going to do when those animals are well taken care of? They love their owner, they're being fed well, everything's being picked up after them. It's tough. It's really tough when you get into things like this where you are trying to make people live or buy or do certain things per the government.
And I mean, that comes down to even people. I used to get calls all the time of, well, this dog never goes for a walk.
I love those calls.
All the time.
You know, I'll tell you right now that wintertime, my dog doesn't go for a walk very much either because you know what? He's got brittle nail syndrome. I can't put the booties on him, and
Mhm.
his poor pitty paws are so sensitive. I can't walk him. Um, but I also can't enforce others to walk their animals either. Like that's just not a thing to do. And how would you even regulate that?
Well,
If
it's
that's the
interesting.
case, I'd be skinny.
It's interesting because it's values over foundation. Like I get that people want other people to be able to take dogs out and enrich the life of a dog, but that man, then you're opening a can of worms because talk about families and children and maybe at-risk youth or at-risk adults. Like it opens up a huge can that I don't think we're ready for in that aspect. But at least having a sanitary environment that is free from any areas of, I would say, like harm, potential harm. Can it hurt an
Sure.
animal? Like that's
Okay,
important.
let's go a step further. Warehousing.
Mm.
Oh, which, yeah. I mean, we that's a product that we're seeing day in and day out in this industry, and eh, it's it's look, I'm sure we already have the reputation of talking about the whole no kill movement on this program, and I try to do my best to stay away from it on certain episodes just because I don't want people to say that's all they talk about. But it is a huge part of our industry, and the warehousing piece is unfortunately a side effect, if you will, of the no kill mentality, and it's unhealthy. I mean, shelters do it, rescues do it. Then you get your rescue hoarders do it. It just becomes an unfortunate part of the animal's well-being. It's sad.
Yeah, I mean, at what point is a dog living in a kennel for years on end of its life? How is that healthy, regardless of how much time they get outside of that kennel? You can't tell me that these places that are doing things like that are giving every one of those animals what they absolutely need to be mentally okay. There's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah, none.
And then, I mean, even the opposite of that, when you have a sanctuary that's got 100 dogs running loose, that's in a house. I mean, also too, I mean, how do we know that those animals are,
Individually getting what they need.
yeah, like I don't know, man. It's so hard to put something like this into perspective when you have such opposite of the spectrums where people think that they're doing good by the animal by just quote unquote keeping it alive. But, I feel we're getting there where people are starting to really think of the mentality of these animals that we're housing and what's beneficial to them and what's not. I mean, for all of us who work in this industry, kennel crazy is a thing, man. Some dogs cannot handle being in facilities for long periods of time, nor do they appreciate going back and forth, like foster to shelter, shelter to foster, home to home, home to home. I mean, at what point are we not putting the well-being of those animals, who unfortunately we have, created, a world for them to continue to come in and live this kind of distressful state of mind.
Yeah. There's as much as as we're going through it, as much as I really like the domains, it is also I'm seeing a whole lot of areas where it's going to be really hard to enforce a lot of it too.
Well, and I think enforcement, you're looking at it from the officer space, right? Which
Yeah.
I totally appreciate because that's, the world that we come from. But let's look at it from like, if you're a shelter and you're listening, like what can you do?
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely. And from both perspectives, I'm fortunate enough to see it from both of those sides. I can see where these, how many of us are in, very rundown facilities,
Hmm.
where, the your jurisdiction doesn't have enough either money or they just don't want to or they don't care, where they're not putting into that. Absolutely. I think, we're moving in a positive direction for facilities who are really starting to outgrow the chain link fence where the dog just sits there and doesn't do whatever. I think we've moved a long way from that. I mean, I think all of us can say that at least that aspect of things, regardless of the state of your facility, I think we've moved far from that. Um, and a lot of these things we can implement, but on the opposite side, where I always have to think of, legally on the enforcement side, to make Joe Schmo on the street, do some of this stuff, it's tough because then now you're impeding on somebody's quote unquote free will, I would almost say. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's not, I don't want people coming at me saying, well, you're just, you advocate for cruelty. No, absolutely not. But I mean, at some point, playing devil's advocate, which we have to do all the time, is
Mm,
really see it from both sides.
totally.
You know, it's the same with, the whole gun movement and, that kind of thing. And put it in that perspective of things, because that's really what it is.
Absolutely. It's tough. It's tough to balance all that. And I just think from us, it gives us at least a platform. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think it puts us in the right direction. And then it's about making sure that it works individually for everybody. Because again, I think we're a big advocate of that is that we all can't function the same because we are in different communities, we're in different parts of the world. So how does it work to the best of our ability to ensure that the animals that come across our care are being taken care of as best as possible?
Hmm.
Yeah. Um, so the next freedom is freedom from pain, injury, or disease by prevention or rapid diagnosis and treatment versus the domain of health, addressing medical needs and promoting overall wellness.
I like that. I think
Mhm.
it gets us into a specific box though. Like, what is wellness? Like, seriously, how do we define that?
Yeah. And I'm going back and forth between like, which one I prefer because the rapid diagnosis and treatment, I had a cat that personal cat that um we couldn't figure out. We did some blood work on him, couldn't quite figure it out, and the veterinarian said, you know what, I'm comfortable with waiting until we get another symptom before we start running the whole gamut of tests.
Hmm.
So the rapid diagnosis, and it ended up being that I think we never officially tested it, but I think he had some kind of a cancer of the throat once he finally passed, and we just made the decision that he was no longer well, and we had him put down when he got to a point that he was just too bad.
Hmm.
So I would say that that was addressing his medical needs. Um, so saying the rapid diagnosing and stuff, I mean, that's just unfortunately big pharma in
Mhm.
animal and human medicine doesn't really allow for that.
It's wild that Big Pharma has moved over to the animal medicine side too, isn't it?
It is. I mean, it was only a market that they didn't see until I'm sure here in the last decade.
Mm. And then they were like, wait, we're missing out.
Yeah, I think this one's interesting from my perspective is like for me, morality on like what it is, w- our perspective on when we should not be humanly euthanizing animals. Um, I think is an interesting take because I know and I've seen, there are certain rescue organizations around the states that, don't really believe in taking animals' lives, so they allow that animal to suffer and pass naturally.
Mm.
I mean, for me, that's tough. I don't know that I could do that. But then on the other side of morality, taking an animal's life when we really don't know XYZ, I don't know. I mean, it's something that I deal with every day, having to go through the shelter and um, we're running out of space. What are we doing? Or if we have sick animals that come in that are absolutely obliterated and
Mm.
maybe we don't have the funds or we do have the funds or what makes this animal more special to the other one to help them but not another. I mean, it's just I don't know. I don't know.
What's interesting, so I learned this a few years back from an older supervisor that I had who was kind of anti euthanize for medical issues. Like if a dog was dying of cancer, if it had like a terminal illness, etc., they really wanted to focus on palliative care. Like, how can we provide palliative? Are they doing that bare minimum palliative care? And it was kind of foreign to me. Like, I didn't know what that even meant. It was kind of a new terminology, and so I had to look into it. And I mean, it makes sense. It's no different than putting like a older person with, you know, kidney disease on dialysis and pumping them full of morphine, right? It's kind of the same concept. And I just think, I don't know, it's sad, but we have to be able to like can we provide that person some relief from their pain? I think that's the important part. And if they're not getting the relief from the pain, then what are we doing? Is that cruel? Also, Texas Bishop, you don't have to call a timeout to tend to your dog's fighting. It's cute. People love
Yes.
that. People didn't see it on the video, but Pickles is up there getting crazy.
Yeah, he's getting crazy, and old man over here is getting crazy too, man.
We love it. I love it. But yeah, so it's
Oh
tough.
no.
It's a tough
Yeah,
space
this
to be in. It's a tough
it
space to be in.
is. It is, the decisions that we all have to make in this industry,
Mm,
what we fight with every single day,
mm.
it's tough. But, in the scope of things for this model, physical health, good function, good body condition, restful sleep. I mean, I can't really argue that, really. But again, for me, health, and how we treat all of the animals that come through our care, you know,
Do you ever
it's hard.
think, sorry to interrupt, do you ever think we'll
No, you're good.
see, you ever think we'll see a shelter system? And I'm not talking about a place with like 20 of pods instead of kennels. And listen, hear me out. Um, what I mean by that is like a lot of shelters have that now where you have like your like real life adoptable rooms where it's like front facing and it
Mm,
looks more like, but imagine if shelter systems were built instead of the kennel system, if they were almost like individual rooms set up to be like a house, so like a living room or a bedroom, something to already expose that dog to an environment that it's going to go to. So maybe it has like non-fomate type couches and beds that you could spray off with, rescue or whatever you're using to clean, and it provides that sense of like, I don't know what an animal can anticipate going into, and it's less of that like open kennel style, loud barking, pheromones, all that craziness that's going on.
Oh, that would be absolutely fantastic. But let's take into consideration that my shelter right now has roughly 35 dogs. I don't have space for 35 rooms.
But that's what I mean. Like you would have to redesign entire shelters to do that.
But there was a place when I went down to Florida um, to help with hurricane relief for Irma and Maria with the ASPCA. We were taking dogs from Florida and we brought them north to South Carolina, I think it was.
Okay.
And each animal, each dog on the, I think it was I don't know if it was a sanctuary or a rescue or what it was, had their own tiny house.
See, I love that.
And it was fantastic, but the amount of space and then time and resources, and we can't keep people in the industry now. You're either here for 2 years or you're here for 20 years,
Mm.
you know. And so trying to keep enough people on board to be able to properly give them all the other freedoms or domains or whatever, I think would be difficult to do that across the country. But I think that there's definitely some niche groups that could absolutely offer that.
Hmm. There could. I mean, and that's, I think, big picture stuff, right?
yeah. So let's see. The next one is behavior, and behavior are kind of the same for both the five freedoms and this domain. So the freedom being to express normal behavior, and then over here on the five domains, choice of environment, choice of interaction, behavioral variety, novelty, something that they don't want to see, barren cage, confined space, separation from people or species, and restraint. I mean, I think we're going in a positive direction,
Hmm.
these days where we're trying to get away from, the guard dog being tethered, and we all know that circle of death that we hate to see all the time where a dog's just chained and the area around him is just nothing but bare dirt or mud.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, for me, and I think for me in this whole episode, I think I'm taking everything super literally because that's just how my brain works. But choice of environment, behavioral variety, again, I go back to the way animal shelters are doing it now. And even beyond that, is, I know of a facility here in Central Texas who, always is asking for, old ottomans or old, recliners and things like that to put in their kennels. Well, I think that's a great aspect of things, but, the negative on this domain, separation from people or species, just because this animal has this environment without that human piece, what are we doing? And that's just playing devil's advocate.
Hmm.
Yeah, we can expose them to all these things, but like Ashlee said, we already don't have enough people. There are more animals running around now than I want to say almost ever before.
Ever.
Yeah, like how do we reel this in to do this?
Well,
And again,
yeah.
it says model, 5 domain models. So to me, that's something to strive for, which absolutely we all can always do better, even if you think you are the top tier, S tier type facility who's doing everything they possibly can. It's things like this that help us put everything in perspective and make things better because that's
Hmm.
what we're here to do. We can always be better. Knowledge is infinite.
Mm.
But at what point does this become reality and where we're at now?
Right.
Hmm.
I'm the Debbie Downer this episode, guys.
I mean, it's fine, right? Like it's the reality that we're dealing with, and we have to find ways to continue to move forward with being creative with some of these solutions.
Yeah. And then the last one is so in the 5 freedoms, we have freedom from fear and distress. And then in our 5 domains, we have mental state. So reducing stress and promoting emotional well-being, which includes being satisfied, engaged, comfortable, affectionate, playful, confident, calm, encouraged. Um, Negatives for this would be fearful or anxious, frustrated, bored, lonely, exhausted, ill, painful, uncomfortable, hungry, thirsty, which I think this is the one that we can all strive for to do better on every day.
Hmm.
I think,
Absolutely.
yeah, I think this one is one, even if it's just a small thing like lick max in the kennels or music playing, in the kennels, which we do as well, which helps a lot, a lot, a lot. If you are not playing music in your kennels, even if it's just the radio or classical music or music that's meant for your pets, dude, it helps so much. It helps a lot.
I wonder why certain shelters don't do it.
I don't know.
Like, what would their reasoning be? Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know why people wouldn't just put a little radio in there and keep the music at a nice, soft tone. And if it's scientifically proven, just do it.
Yeah. I mean, guys, even the radio, we usually play the radio, it goes on and I don't know, man. It's very helpful. I've noticed in our population when we don't have it, it gets quite loud in the back, especially when people are walking around.
Hmm.
But it does help. But yeah, I think mental state is something that we all can work on. And, even it's just the simple things, where you make treats that are frozen, where they can just lick and lick and it keeps them engaged, and things like that. I just think overall, for where we're at in this industry, this is something great to strive for. But beyond that, in my mental capacity, how do we enforce this kind of stuff? You know,
Mm.
that's the reality for companion animals. Like, how do we enforce this when it's dealing with people in their homes and whatnot? Like, we all know that you shouldn't be cruel to animals, period. I mean, that's a given. But when you're starting to get to really nitty gritty about, making people feed XYZ or providing XYZ when it comes to walking, their dog, again, we get that a lot. Well, the next door neighbor doesn't walk their dogs and they just put them out in the backyard. You don't know what kind of enrichment they're doing in their house.
And you don't see them every single day,
No. And
24 hours a day. Like,
I
they could
have
go
four
out.
little dogs. I'm not going to be out running miles with my tiny dogs. Like, them running zoomies is probably just enough for them to go around the entire house in the backyard. Like,
And
Right.
enrichment looks different for everybody. Like,
yeah.
and like shelters nowadays, like there's so many things you can do, whether it's the
Hmm.
Kongs, if you're getting the
Hmm.
If you're on the Kong program. I wonder if that new company, what is it called? I have one. I just bought one. It's the little
Kong is
twist.
great, by the way. We help them all
It's
the time.
it's the
They get
little twisty. Let me see. Hang on. I have to grab it. You might know what it is.
they're like mental toys where they get the foods out. But I love things like this, but at the same time, I feel like for where we're
Well,
at,
Mooney knows what it is because I just grabbed it off the. It's this thing, and
oh, oh,
um,
neat. Hmm.
they make little inserts that you put in there, but you can
Hmm.
just get wet food. It's called. What's this thing called? Hold on. My my. Someone Google mywoof.com. My boy, there's nothing in there. I'm sorry. I'll have to put something in there. But they give it. They say it takes 20 minutes for dogs to get the frozen stuff out of there. Um,
Yeah.
and so like I don't know if they're doing programs like with shelters how
Oh,
Kong
I don't
does,
know.
but any sort of enrichment, even if you're doing like a like folded up towel with treats in the middle and letting the dog kind of like a snuffle mat, just
Yep.
something to and then cats too. Don't forget about cats. Like they like
Hmm.
enrichment.
Yep.
They like enrichment too.
Yeah, we recently been putting, somebody donated a bunch of like bird toys, and they're just like this thing that's on a chain and has a bunch of bells.
Oh,
Dude,
that's cool.
cats love them. 10
Is
out of 10 for our cats.
Toilet,
Yeah.
yeah,
save your toilet paper rolls.
Uh,
Save your toilet paper rolls. You can fold them in, put some treats in, spray some different essential oils for different scents.
hmm.
If the dog eats it, it's pretty much going to get digested and go through their system anyway. So,
Huh.
cats, dogs, love them.
That's good to know.
yeah, no, it looks like they have a great website, but it doesn't, yeah, I mean, you can be an ambassador, but it doesn't look like they quite yet have anything for any
What
shelter
do they
program. I could
call
be
what
wrong.
do they call their toy?
Their toy is called
Forget the name of it.
the Pupsicle.
There you go. That's what it is. Yeah, they like it. He likes it. I've already used it a few different times.
I love that they have it for different sizes too. I mean, none of my dogs are 10 pounds. So this is probably too big for them.
They'd have to take a couple of them to get at it.
Um, but yeah, what a great company. It looks like they're really looking to help with situations like ours. But what I was saying, Dan, when you went off was,
Oh,
I love it when people come up with things like this, like the five domains. I just feel like the climate we're in right now, people just take shit too far.
but like, what
And I
do
hate to
you?
go for
What do you
no
mean? Like,
innocent, like
yeah.
with no kill.
Oh,
You know what I mean? That's what I mean. And
yeah.
it's not we all want to strive to be that. Like we all want to strive to not have to take another animal's life because we don't have money or we don't have space or,
Right.
just didn't get enough enrichment. I just feel like when things like this come out, it makes our jobs a little bit harder in a sense that people are just like at a level 1,000 and think we can do this right now at this time in the state that our industry's in.
I get what you're saying. So it adds just more to our current.
And it's not a bad thing, guys. It really isn't because we all know there are shitty shelters, there are shitty animal control officers, there are shitty rescues. I understand that completely, which is why these things probably have to be created and put into place. But I think for our industry, at least in itself, it's a marathon, not a sprint,
Hmm.
Yeah.
honestly.
If you are working towards the five freedoms, the five domains, I think you are in a better situation than saying you must abide by these.
There you go.
You need to work towards them without the expectation of being able to achieve all five every day, all day long.
Yeah, I think it's a good baseline, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely. I think for us, I think it's something that we strive to do for every day, for all the animals in our care or that we come across or we come across in the public and what we expect people to do. But again, it's like I feel like the current state of where we are in the world, just in general, it's like people expect this to happen overnight and just
No.
how. I mean, it's not just We all want this to happen.
Before we go, I need to plug Dr. G and the Animal Welfare Junction because she just put out her seventh part
Ooh,
of I know but
I was
I
just thinking
start
about that because I saw her yesterday on social media that they did some great stuff for a local organization and did like 50 spays or neuters in a day.
that's
Shouts to
amazing.
Dr. G. She's freaking amazing.
But she's she's going in on that dude Stefan. What was his name? Stefan. I don't know, but he seemed like he wanted almost everything I hear. It seems like he wanted to hurt animals. Like he got off on like there was so the and I won't ruin the recent episode, but they're talking about a situation where there was a dog on dog attack, and the way he described how the attacks happened, it was something like it was so arrogant, like almost like the dog deserved to get attacked. And I'm like, what the fuck is this dude's problem? Stephen Baldwin, that's his name. That guy, you suck. He gets a you suck for the day. I'm glad that dude's
Yeah.
in jail. Stay in
I
jail.
am, yeah, that'll be my what I'm listening to today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll listen to that tomorrow
Yeah.
while I'm just mundaning doing stuff in the office. But yeah, I think this is a great premise to start and push forward to just for everybody. Because again, I think it gets frustrating for us on our end sometimes, where it's like these expectations where people think that we can do this kind of stuff overnight when the reality is it takes people, it takes money, it takes time and effort. I think it's something great to strive for. And if you can go into work every day thinking about this model, do it.
Do it. Do it.
Do
Do
it.
it.
It's great. It puts things in perspective.
Well, thanks for going through that list. And hopefully it, I would say, uh, like motivates people and,
Mhm.
let's just keep moving forward. So, as we like to say on the program, what do we like to say? Let's continue to help people
Help animals.
and keep you, man. Wow. Just me today, I guess. I don't know.
No, she did it with you.
You did? I didn't hear it.
I did it.
Was it like
Oh,
this?
I totally heard an echo.
Was it? Keep it, man. Keep it, man.